Thanks everyone for joining us on the program today. Our focus is on the federal government's latest effort to safeguard the nation's power infrastructure. And the federal government, through the Ministry of Interior, is working out plans that will produce a special squad to protect critical power infrastructure in the wake of wanton vandalism of electricity infrastructure. And the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, spoke on the matter in Abuja. The recurrent vandalism of power infrastructure is getting the attention of the minister, who supervises Nigeria's Security and Civil Defense Corps, tasked with protecting critical national assets. In the first quarter of 2024 alone, the Transmission Company of Nigeria reported 5 significant vandalism incidents that disrupted transmission operations, necessitating emergency repairs and, in some cases, complete tower reconstruction.
The trend continued in 2025 with more than 18 transmission towers vandalized across Rivers, Abia and Kano states between January 9th and the 14th, when fully operational, the squad comprising personnel from security agencies will operate in key locations identified as hotspots for power infrastructure sabotage. Authorities believe that with this move, instances of power disruptions due to criminal activities will significantly reduce. However, some industry experts stress that beyond security measures, investments in modern technologies such as surveillance systems and smart grids will further enhance protection and efficiency in the power sector. But first, let's hear from the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo.
Covers power infrastructure and a lot of things. And of course, we've handled the mining. We're also talking, myself and the CG, we've also created a special squad, just as we have the mining marshals for we're also looking at a specialized one, and myself and the Minister of Power will be meeting on that, because it's not what we can do alone. We need the end users, we need to make it, there must be a handshake. We must work together, and the Minister of Power is very committed towards securing these infrastructures, and we're looking at doing that. And we remember the extra boots that we will have this year by virtue of recruitment. We will also be able to have more boots to spend to hold on around towards protecting not just the power infrastructure, but the telecoms infrastructure, and be able to protect our assets, so we can be rest assured of that. That's the essence why Mr. President has graciously supported the recruitment of more officers and men in the NSCDC, because obviously beyond the mining sites, we must also be more present in terms of physically present in terms of other critical national assets, and we must have our boots on ground as much as we also make use of technology. So you can be rest assured that we have a master plan we're working towards, and we know that in no time all the major critical assets of government will be protected effectively.
And joining us live to put more perspective on this issue is the Executive Director of the Electricity Consumer Protection Advocacy Center, Prince Will Okorie. It's good to have you in our studio this morning.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us. Let's jump straight into it. And do you agree that the vandalism in the power sector appears to be an organized crime committed by some security agencies and, some technicians in the sector? They may be complicit. Do you agree with this?
When you say organized crime, I would rather see it as conspiracy by institutions of state against the consumers of services that are provided by these service providers. And the level of exploitation of the consumers and the failure of the institutions of state to do their job is creating this problem. What do I mean by that? Section 4 of the 2007 Amended Act of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps made vandalism of electricity infrastructure act of terrorism. And they have Counter-Terrorism Center in the NSCDC, which is under the Minister of Interior's supervision. The National Security Advisor has Counter-Terrorism Center. What have they been doing? The UNITA, United Nations Institute for Training and Research, said that preventing and countering violent extremism can be done by good governance, community resilience, and civil liberty and civil rights. These three, there is a nexus between them and violent extremism, which we are experiencing in the power sector. What do I mean by that? Look at governance, for instance. You have the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Their mandate is to protect the consumers. Who has the infrastructure that is being vandalized? Beyond transmission lines, what about transformers? What about the poles? What about the feeder pillars? What about the meters? Section 209 to Section 221 of the Electricity Act 2023 is on offenses and penalties. And it provided punishment for those who commit these offenses of vandalism, meter theft, destruction of infrastructure. But when the institutions of state that should enforce these laws are not enforcing them, what do we expect? Section 119 of the Electricity Act is on consumer protection and licensee performance standards. It deals with how you connect to electricity, how you get disconnected, how you will be billed, even estimated billing methodology. Is it being done? In 2020, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in connivance with Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, approved and recommended 200 billion naira to be brought out to provide meter free for consumers in Nigeria. And 59 billion was shared to the 11 discos at the first phase. You don't hear about that program again. How many consumers got the meter? And I'll go and ask, how many consumers got the meter? And how much is meter sold now? Why is government keeping quiet to these things? You exploit the consumer. By rights, I'm talking about governance now. What has the Consumer Protection Commission done with regards to this money that was provided to protect consumers' interest in metering policy? What have they done? What have they done to ensure that billing that is given to consumers are what it should be? Now, you see, before, under the 2005 Electric Power Sector Reform Act, estimated billing methodology entails that before you are given a bill, the distribution company will check the transformer supplying electricity to know the quantity of energy you've consumed and use it to check the kilowatt hours to get the amount you will pay. That wasn't being done. So many meters, the transformers did not have meter. And they just sit down and rule out bills. Today, the distribution company falsely claims the debts that are being owed. Now look at it again. Why is it that the distribution company has the right to collect their money anyhow from the consumers, but they can't pay the generation companies their money for generating the power they are supplying? There's so much injustice. There is so much abuse of rights.
Well, if you say that this is an institutional problem, the Ministry of Interior is willing to set up a special
that cannot solve the problem.
Okay.
It can never solve the problem. You see, we deceive ourselves. We say technology, a squad. What was the civil defense doing before now? Go and ask the IG. When did he visit some of the police cells last? The people that take criminals, report criminal matters to the police, how many are prosecuted? When a criminal is taken to the police and he's not prosecuted, and he goes, won't he be bold than he was before? So this is why most of the criminals and the vandals have become so bold that they do these things because they know they can get out of it. Now, you are asking, you are talking about the squad you will set up. Will they be more than the police? Will they be more than the civil defense corps that is already existing? What magic will they do? That is the side of government. Now look at the issue of community resilience. Who are the custodian of peace in the communities and security? The traditional rulers, the community chairmen and leaders, the local government council chairmen and the chief security officers of the local government councils. Has the Minister of Interior engaged these people? As of November last year, we wrote him, Association for Public Policy Analysis, we wrote the Minister for Interior, drawing his attention to the issues of grid collapse, making him know that failure to enforce the Civil Defense Act and failure to enforce the penalties and offences segment of the Act is creating these problems. But they've not replied us till date.
Mr. Princeville,
yeah.
You've outlined some ill in the system, talk about institutions. But should we also look at it this way, that the minister is now trying to take the bull by the horn, that, okay, we have multiple problems and there's no one solution to it. So he's setting up a special squad
let me tell you, this is a democracy governed by law. We have a constitution. Section 15(5) of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, says that every act of corruption and abuse of power should be abolished. Why will Consumer Protection Commission sit down and the Minister for Power will sit down, Minister for Interior will sit down, and the distribution company will fail to provide transformer, fail to provide pole, fail to provide wire, and consumers pay these monies? And you know that Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has what they call Network Expansion Investment Policy, which entails that when consumers invest in this, they should be refunded. Go and ask, how many consumers have been refunded? When you treat citizens, as Zikiwe said, that what led to the fall of civilizations is the abuse of the people's rights. When you don't respect the rights of the people, what do you expect? And when you don't discipline criminals, when you don't enforce laws, what do you expect? Will the technology come now to enforce the laws? Will the squad, the squad at best, will get the criminal and then take them and say, take them to court? How many have been taken to court all this while? Go and find out. So the point I'm making here is that the institutions of state should engage the citizens. Don't forget, Section 14(2)(b) of the Constitution says security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. Where is welfare? When the citizen is being coerced to provide infrastructure and still pay for the service, and the service provider is only collecting money, and government is shying away from discussing that. You need to look at this vandalism.
We agree with you. Yes. There's the aspect of consumers being not being treated rightly, but also we have infrastructure that, look, if we do not go ahead to protect them, whether it is government institution, whether it is the consumers, I think it's a collective responsibility to protect this infrastructure.
I was talking about community resilience before you stopped me. You want to protect this. Let me tell you, if a crime is committed in your community today, the local government council chairman will call the traditional ruler and ask him, what do we do? The traditional ruler, the vigilante, is under them in the communities. They have the youths under them. They can trace who is doing it. It is the responsibility, because all these infrastructure are installed in communities where you have traditional institution overseeing, and you have the local government council chairman as the chief security officer of the area local government councils. Do the local governments even know the number of transformers in their areas? Has TCN related with local government councils on this matter? We wrote TCN. They've not replied. Now, has TCN or the Minister of Power engaged them? When you speak these truths, they will see it like you are criticizing them. Now, they'll constitute a committee at the national level to deal with infrastructure. And you are not engaging the citizens who are at that grassroots level. Community resilience, which Unita talked about, entails that the community people are the beneficiaries of the services these infrastructures are used to render. And if those infrastructures are functional, they will be happy for it. So they have the responsibility. That is why Section 24D of the Constitution says it is the duty of the citizen to contribute to the development and advancement of the community where he resides. E of it says it is the duty of the citizen to assist law enforcement agencies in the maintenance of law and order. Have you engaged these citizens at the community level? What role are they playing? Even if you send
the roles that they play, this discourse have alluded to the fact that energy theft, or specifically the meter tampering, is one of the issues. You know, they have these issues with the meter system and all of that. Is that perception valid?
My dear, energy theft is captured in the Electricity Act, offenses and penalties. Who has the responsibility of implementing? I'm telling you that the injustice in the... Okay, let me tell you. Do you know that Section 212 of the Electricity Act provides that if you confront a disco staff now, you go to prison for 6 months. In fact, 2 years. And you pay 6 million naira if you are caught to have violated that law. But Section 217, what did he say? On false declaration. If the disco declares falsely, like they're talking about A and B now, like they gave you bills without really going through the processes, they now give you that bill. Their own punishment is 1 year, 6 months imprisonment and 100,000 naira. Section 34(1)(f) of the Act says regulation should be fair and balanced for the consumer, the distributor, the licensee, and other stakeholders. Where is fairness when all these things are happening? And this is community resilience I've talked about. Now, civil liberties and civil rights. Don't the citizen have a right to be served properly? Don't the citizen in a democracy have the right to be treated like a citizen? Does the 11 distribution companies, are they above the government? Are they above the law? Why? Okay, look at what in Pape, where my office is. For 2 weeks now, there hasn't been light there. Businesses there are suffering. But you see that the moment this light comes now, AEDC will start giving the people without meter bill as if they have light every day. And nobody will talk. Nobody will talk. So the point that I'm not supporting vandalism, but I'm saying that the way the minister wants to go, the way the government, federal government wants to go about it, wouldn't be the best. We have initiated action. We've met with the traditional rulers. We are drawing their attention. They need to look at this matter. They are looking for a role in governance. Can't you engage them? What is wrong in engaging them? Even if you send the squad there, even the police have come to realize that for them to do their job efficiently and effectively, they need the citizens to support them. How have you engaged the citizens in this matter? Let me even ask you, in the committees they've set up, is there a civil society member of the committee? Is there a consumer group in that committee? Has the Minister of Interior interfaced with consumers? Well, what has the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission done? What has the Minister for Power done? What has NSCDC done in engaging traditional rulers, engaging local government councils, engaging consumer groups? This hasn't been done. And you are sending a squad.
You've called for a probe of that $200 billion grant that was approved for the metering program. But now the National Assembly has approved another $500 billion loan for the purchase of meters. How do we avoid a deja vu of this kind of situation and also avoid the repeat of, this kind of efficiency?
That's the issue I'm raising. There is a committee on banking regulations in the House of Representatives. I've drawn in fact, a motion has been moved on this matter. What is happening? Now, when you want to vote such money again, what happened to the one that was discussed before? What kind of governance are we running? Now, you are not closing up that one. You are bringing another one. Every year we are owing. My sister and my brother, capitalist democracy cannot give us peace. Because Aristotle said, men of knowledge should rule. Men of appetite should go into business. And men of energy should go into military. On the reverse, what we have today is men of appetite who should be businessmen in governance. And because they are in governance, everything is about money, 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 money. Now, the rights and the protection of the citizens doesn't make any sense. As far as they are concerned, you manipulate it and think the citizens don't. Can you tell me now, they are talking of state electricity market. What is the consumer enumeration in this country? How will you approve 500 billion naira loan, whereas the one that was already brought, the 200 billion that was given, that was mentioned, we have not gotten any report on it. So all I'm saying here is that President Tinubu, they said he takes bold decisions. I expect him to take a bold decision. I don't know if he watches this channel, because if he wants to address it, this is an embarrassment. What is happening in the power sector? The power sector has shown that there is no law. The power sector has shown that private sector organizations shouldn't obey Nigerian law. The power sector has shown that citizens of Nigeria have no protection, that they cannot be protected. The power sector has shown that the resources of the citizens can be taken away by private sector operators and nothing will happen. And then the citizens are living as slaves. As Okorie said, the African man was created to stand erect to get his inalienable rights and not to crawl like a reptile. Nigerians are crawling like reptiles before the distribution companies.
Mr. Prince, there's no doubt that the consumers, there's this ill treatment against the consumers as you've highlighted. Can we also take a look at the criminality in vandalizing this infrastructure? Yes, the fact that consumers are not treated well does not mean that there are vandals in the system. So what exactly would you say also actions government can take to deal with it?
I have already told you, the way criminals are treated encourages them to be bold. We have to start by disciplining the people that have done wrong, making sure that criminals are not allowed to go free. But there's a situation where, okay, travel from here to east or west. How many checkpoints on the roads? The people that should discipline criminals are collecting money from drivers. The people go to filling station now to buy fuel. You buy 1 liter, is half liter that enters your car. Who is enforcing anything? So the more we allow criminal behavior in different ways, the criminals get bold. Emphasis today is how much you break, not how well you have lived, not morals, not fair play, not justice. It's all about, what do you have? Bring it. How did you get it? So much so that even our youths in schools feel they don't even value education more. Why? Why will a professor take bribe to give a youth admission in the university? Why will a lecturer with PhD take bribe for a student to pass exam? And then what would that child come out with? The child, why will even secondary school bribe be given for a child to pass WAEC? And then we go special center. Parents take their children to special center. And then what we honor, once you bring the paper certificate, it's all over.
You spoke about political
will. With this
will.
mindset, this country cannot solve the security problems.
You spoke about political will of the government, and President Tinubu just returned from the Mission 300 Africa Energy Summit in Tanzania, where the federal government, alongside other African leaders, signed a compact, to provide electricity for over 300 million people across the continent. Now, from your own perspective, what will be the impact of this? And do you think this is cheering news?
My sister, I've told you the issues in the power sector. If the government will be sincere, there is need to revisit the power sector. There has to be multi-stakeholder engagement if they will agree.
So you see, you're saying this is not significant.
Last May, there was an African Energy Summit that was held in Abuja here. I participated. I spoke there. The moment I made one comment or two, they shut me off from talking again. Even when they had their dinner, I wasn't invited. I was penciled to be one of the panelists. I was removed. Why? Because they felt I would not talk the way they want. Because I had to raise issues. I asked the minister there. I said, Minister, who advises you on consumer issues in the power sector? Who? In the ministry today, you have a department for distribution, generation, transmission, none on consumer. Now, you go to Federal Commission and Consumer Protection Commission, they will tell you our complaints can be sent online. Beyond sending complaint, how do you ensure that the policies that are made for consumer protection are implemented? We raised it in 2022. We did an analysis of the sector, drew the attention of the Federal Commission and Consumer Protection Commission to the fact that the consumer protection component of the Act is not being even explained to consumers. And that is making consumers become prey to victims of exploitation, to discourse. They invited me. I gave a lecture on it and suggested they should set up Electricity Consumer Protection Education Committee. Do you know I've been thrown out of that committee? After inauguration, the discourse came in, even at the middle of that event, because the Act provides that the discourse should submit their report to the regulator periodically. I now raised an issue. I said, look, that report should equally be given to the Consumer Protection Commission. Because sometimes you see the infrastructure provided by consumers, the discourse will include it as their investment. So there is need to say to these people, to review. They all stood up there and started shouting. At the end of the day, I've been thrown out of that committee. I'm not even part of it again. I even want to engage the new EVC. So the point is, are we really sincere that we want to get this power sector working? If we want to get it working, there are things to be done. The consumer angle needs to be looked at. The security angle needs to be looked at. There is nothing new in setting up a squad. When you already have a law in the electricity at 209 to 221, it's there. And we've drawn the attention of the Minister of Interior to this. He hasn't replied us. Now you have a law. You have a civil defense corps that is supposed to have critical national assets and infrastructure department. Under it, you have power, you have telecommunication. What are they doing? Then you have Consumer Protection Commission. Then you have Special Duties Office that can even engage with the traditional institution, engage with the local government council, engage with the consumers to find a solution on how citizens can work together with government security agencies to protect this infrastructure. But you don't do that. You want to, how many security uniform are you seeing on the street? You have road safety, you have VIO, you have a yellow fever, you have police, everything. Then in this one now, you have Alcobora, you have civil defense, you are having another special squad.
Well,
if the laws are not implemented, how do you get results out of these things? We should respect our constitution. The constitution is not just a paper. It's not a sheet of paper. If the constitution has given citizens rights in section 24, how has the minister, who has the responsibility of interior security, engage the citizens to ensure that their own rights are protected, and then get their buy-in to protect infrastructure?
There's a lot of issues there, clearly in the power sector that needs to be unraveled and needs answers. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's where we have to leave our discussion here today. We will hope to continue the conversation some other time as the day goes by. Thank you so much for your time with us on the program, Mr. Prince Okorie.
I just believe that the presidency is listening and Minister for Interior is listening.
Definitely.
I hope you will listen to it. Since they refuse to reply our letters, let them listen and know that there are more to do than squad. The squad can't achieve anything.
You have their ears.
I can
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Well, that's our offering today from Abuja. It's back to you in Lagos. Veronica and Ibrahim, what do you think about Prince Will's presentation?
Well, I love his energy. I love his passion. Unfortunately, he's been thrown out of various committees because he's been vocal and trying to speak the truth to power. And he spoke about the matter of sincerity if we intend to address this matter of electricity head on. And I hope that all the stakeholders are listening and the needful is done.
Absolutely. I particularly enjoyed this segment of yours, and then the person that actually spoke, truth to power. The fact that he's been thrown out, not so good. But I believe the government, Nigerians, everyone will
we hope they reconsider their decision.
Absolutely.